The dining room glittered with soft light and polite laughter, the kind that floats above a table like perfume. My mother, Loretta Blake, rose at the head of the table, her sequined jacket catching the chandelier's glow. "To Savannah," she declared, lifting her glass high, "our pillar, the woman who carries this family with grace." Applause rippled down the long oak table. Guests smiled. My father, Jameson, nodded, pleased with the performance. Across from me, Savannah tilted her head, soaking in the warmth. She looked perfect silky hair, honeyed tone, the practiced smile of someone who'd never been caught without a spotlight. I kept my hands folded in my lap until my phone vibrated under the linen. A bank notification blinked up from the screen payment, overdue $48,700. Savannah laughed at something a guest said about charity work. "We all have to give a little to make the world better." Right? The room glowed with agreement. My pulse steadied. I lifted my glass. "Then maybe," I said, "you can start giving back the $48,700 I've been paying to keep your world spinning." It was quiet enough to hear the clink of a single fork against porcelain. Savannah blinked. "Mary Ann." "What are you talking about?" Mother's smile tightened. "Not here, sweetheart." Father cleared his throat. "This isn't the place. It never is," I said. "That's why it never changes." Savannah's voice softened, laced with sugar. "You're overwhelmed. I told you I'd fix it." "Right," I said, "but you never do." The chandelier flickered once, as if the house exhaled. I set my glass down, the sound sharp against the table. "You wanted a provider," I said quietly. "You've got one." Then I stood and walked out before anyone remembered how to breathe. When I was 8, my mother told a neighbor at church, Savannah was born to shine. Mary Ann was born to help. I remember standing beside the lemonade table, holding the paper cups while everyone nodded. Savannah was already leading the choir of children, hair tied with a ribbon the color of gold syrup. At home, it was the same rhythm. Mother corrected my tone but praised Savannah's laughter. Father said, "Your sister needs your patience. Mary Ann, she's the creative one." That became the rule. My calm was her safety net. Once, when Savannah wrecked Father's truck in high school, I lied and said I was the one driving. She hugged me, crying, and whispered, "You're the only one who ever saves me." I believed that was love. Years later, she moved to Austin for college, chasing a business degree she barely touched. I stayed in Houston, finishing classes at night while working days at a bank. Mother called often. "Savannah's doing wonderful things." "Darling, you'd be so proud." I said I was. When she returned home after graduation, broke and smiling, Father opened a savings account in her name. "She'll pay it back," he said. I nodded and deposited the first check. The years blurred with small rescues car notes, rent, loans I co-signed. Savannah's apologies were always soft, her voice trembling like a hymn. Now, sitting in that same house decades later, I could still hear it, her tone, the one that always pulled me back. Back then, peace meant fixing things before anyone noticed they were broken. Tonight, I had finally stopped fixing. 6 months before that dinner, Savannah called while I was walking home through the drizzle in Seattle. "Hey, Mayor," she said, voice bright but too quick. "Bloom Women Collective had a banking glitch. They froze our accounts. I just need a bridge 1 month, maybe 2. How much?" I asked. $48,700, she said, like it was the price of air. You know I'd never ask if it weren't an emergency. I stopped under an awning. "That's not small. Savannah." She sighed softly. "You're the only one I trust with real numbers. You always understand structure, rules, all that boring stuff I never learned. Flattery first, guilt second. She knew the choreography. I wired the money that night. The next morning, she posted a photo rooftop brunch, champagne glass in hand, captioned "Building Empires, one sunrise at a time." I typed, "Everything okay now?" She replied with a heart emoji. A week later, my phone buzzed again. Overdraft warning. I called. "It's just the transition between grants." She said, "Don't worry so much. You've always been the worrier." Mother's voice came through the next day. "Savannah's event was such a success. She's speaking at a women's conference in Dallas." "She paid for it," I asked. "Well," Mother said lightly, "family supports family." At work, I deleted that phrase from an email draft. It had started to sound like a threat. 2 weeks later, Savannah sent another text, "Need to push repayment a bit. Travel costs hit harder than expected. You're my angel." I stared at the screen, the word angel glowing like a bruise. I didn't reply. Keeping quiet had always been the family's first language. The night of the dinner, the house smelled like rosemary and candle wax. The guests had gone home, leaving the family behind, just us and the echoes of our performance. Savannah leaned back in her chair, swirling wine. "You really blindsided me, Mare. That wasn't fair. Neither is paying your bills," I said. Mother pressed a napkin flat against the table. "We will not do this again. It was an unfortunate misunderstanding, and we'll move past it." "Past it," I said. "You stood there and called her the provider." Jameson's voice was even. "It was a figure of speech. You embarrassed your sister." I corrected the record. Savannah laughed softly, the sound brittle. "You could have called. We could have talked it out like grown women." "I did," I said. "Twice." She met my eyes, tone dipping into that syrupy sweetness she used when she wanted control. "You've always taken things too seriously. It's why you're alone. Mare, you hold on until your hands bleed." My pulse didn't rise. "At least they're clean." Mother's voice cracked. "Enough. This family has survived worse than money." I opened my bag, slid an envelope across the table. Receipts, statements, everything I paid under your names. "Since no one seems to remember." Father stared at it, jaw tight. "You should have come privately. Private is how rot survives," I said. Savannah's smile faltered. "This is petty. This is math," I said. "And I'm done balancing your peace." No one moved. The chandelier hummed above us. Savannah whispered, "You always wanted to be the hero." "Congratulations." "I never wanted to be the hero," I said, "just not the fool." The room felt smaller with every breath. Mother rose abruptly, straightening the tablecloth that didn't need fixing. "Sit down, Marianne," she said. "You're making a scene." I stood instead, my chair scraped against the tile, sharp and final. "You wanted a provider," I said quietly. "You've got one." I turned and walked out, leaving them with the sound of the chandelier buzzing above their perfect silence. 4 days later, I was called back to the house. Same table, same candles, same silence rehearsed into civility. Father sat at the head, a folded check between his fingers. $25,000, he said, "to settle things and move on." I didn't reach for it. That's not forgiveness. That's hush money with better penmanship. Mother's smile quivered. "We are trying to make peace." "You're trying to buy it," I said. "Different currency. Same lie." Savannah appeared in the doorway, hair tied back, eyes red. "You humiliated me, Mare. I lost a sponsor because of you. You lost it because you lied." I said, "I made a mistake." She snapped, "You don't have to destroy me over it." "I'm not destroying you," I said quietly. "You're doing that yourself." Father's voice hardened. "That's enough. We protect our own." From what I asked. Accountability. Savannah looked at him. "See? She twists everything. She's always hated me." I turned to her. "If I hated you, I'd still be paying your debts." Mother reached across the table, her hand trembling. "Please, Marianne, families survive by forgiving." "No," I said. They survive by telling the truth. For a moment, no one spoke. The chandelier above us flickered again, light wobbling like breath. Father pushed the check closer. Take it. Let's be done. I folded it and slid it back. You can't buy silence anymore. Mother pressed her hand to her heart. You're tearing us apart. I stood. No, Mom, I'm just stopping the act. The chandelier buzzed once more, and I left them sitting under its hum. Their dinner table finally bare of illusions. A month after that dinner, an envelope from a Texas bank landed in my Seattle mailbox. It was thick, official, heavy enough to make my stomach drop. Inside a statement for a business loan under Bloom Women Collective. Guarantor, Marianne Blake. Balance $93,000. I called the number on the letter. There's been a mistake. I said, I never signed this. The banker's tone was neutral. We have digital authorization with your name, time-stamped from 6 months ago. Send it to me. I said. The email arrived before I hung up. My name curved across a document I had never seen. A perfect signature. That night I called Savannah. She answered on the third ring, voice low. Mayor, I'm in a meeting. Then step out. I said, why is my name on your loan? There was silence, the kind that tells the truth before words do. Savannah, I said again. She sighed. It was temporary. The grant hadn't cleared. I needed a backstop just for a few weeks. You forged my signature. I borrowed your name. She whispered, you always said we were a team. I gripped the phone. Teams don't steal from each other. You think I'd let you get hurt? She said. I was protecting both of us. You'd panic if you knew how close we were to losing everything. I already have. I said. And it's you. Her breath caught. Don't do this. Mom will never understand. She doesn't have to. The bank does. When I hung up, the apartment felt too small, too quiet. I sat on the kitchen floor, the letter open beside me, the ink of her signature gleaming under the light. Peace, I realized, had never been free. It had always been purchased in my name. 2 weeks after the call, I received an email from someone named Janelle Ruiz. The subject line read, I think your sister used your name. Her message was short. I worked for Bloom Women Collective. She told us the funding was secured by you. When payroll stopped, I checked the filings. You're listed as guarantor. I have everything: messages, contracts, even her spreadsheets. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then I wrote back, send them. Within minutes, attachments filled my inbox: screenshots, receipts, and one document labeled Bridge Trust, Backstop, XLSX. My name sat beside a column, Marianne Blake, 48,700 cleared. I called Janelle. Her voice was small but steady. I believed in her. She said you were the silent partner. We all thought you were protecting her. I was. I said, until I realized silence doesn't protect anyone. That night, I built a folder on my laptop: every email, every forged file. I didn't know what I was planning, only that the truth needed air. By morning, I had written an article. Nothing cruel, nothing exaggerated, just facts. I titled it, The Founder Who Faked Empowerment. I uploaded it anonymously to a local tech forum and logged off. The next day, my phone started buzzing. Headlines spread across Austin news feeds. Nonprofit under investigation. Former employees speak out. Savannah called first. Her voice was shaking. What did you do? I told the truth. I said, you ruined me. No, I said, you did that the day you signed my name. An hour later, Mother called. Tell me this isn't you. Marianne, it's not me. Mom, I said, it's the truth. By evening, Savannah's sponsors pulled out. Her website disappeared, and Cole Bennett, her boyfriend, texted me once she admitted it. I'm leaving. I closed my laptop and sat by the window as rain began to fall against the glass. The city lights flickered through the water's blur. For the first time, I felt the weight of peace, not soft, not gentle, but earned, like breath after smoke. 3 days after the story broke, my father showed up at my apartment in Seattle. He looked smaller than I remembered, shoulders bent beneath a coat too heavy for spring. "I thought I was keeping the peace," he said, standing in my doorway. "You were keeping the performance," I answered. He nodded slowly. "Your mother can't stop crying. She says you destroyed the family." "I didn't destroy it," I said. "I just stopped lying for it." He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. $25,000. "It covers the rest of what she owes." I didn't move. Money can't fix what silence built. He studied me for a long moment. "You're right," he said finally. "But it's all I know how to offer." I took the envelope, folded it once, and handed it back. Then maybe learned something new. His eyes softened. "You sound like your mother used to before reputation became her religion. She can find her own peace now," I said. He stepped closer, voice lower. "You always were the truth teller, Marianne. I just didn't have the courage to listen." He turned to leave, pausing at the door. "I hope you find what we couldn't." "I already did," I said. That evening, I drove past the old house in Houston. The porch lights were off, the windows dark. For the first time, the silence there didn't feel like control. It felt like quiet. When I got home, I opened my laptop. The folder once labeled evidence now read closure. Outside, rain tapped softly against the glass. I whispered the words I'd waited years to say. "I didn't burn the house down," I said. "I just turned on the lights."